Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you're a homeowner, you absolutely know that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. You know, when a plumber hands you this thick document full of terrifying technical jargon and, of course, a potentially massive bill. Well, today we're basically acting as your ultimate translator. We're going to decode your sewer video inspection report, turning all those confusing terms into clear, actionable knowledge so you can actually take control of your home's maintenance.
I mean, imagine this. You've got a slow drain, you call in a pro, and they snake a camera down your pipes. And the next thing you know, you're staring at this blurry video of a dark tunnel and a report claiming you need thousands of dollars in repairs. It induces sheer panic, right? But here's the thing. How do you actually know if the diagnosis is accurate? Like, is the urgency fact or is it fiction? Understanding the visual evidence on your report is literally the only way to know for sure, and that's exactly what this explainer is designed to help you do.
Okay, let's dive into our decoder ring for cracking your document. Here's our roadmap. First, inside the sewer camera. Second, location and pipe defects. Third, severity and flow restrictions. And fourth, translating clues into action.
All right, starting with section 1.
Inside the sewer camera, the setup.
So, to really understand the setup, you kind of have to know that a specialized waterproof camera is pushed through your drain line. It's documenting the exact condition of the pipe using still images, video, and measurements. But here's the secret. Every single reputable plumbing report actually relies on a hidden skeleton to make sense of all that footage. Companies format their paperwork totally differently, but they all follow this exact four-step diagnostic logic. First, they identify the location of the problem. Second, they describe what the camera sees. Third, they grade the severity of that defect. And fourth, they recommend an action based on those specific findings. Honestly, if your report is missing even one of these steps, that's an immediate red flag.
Moving on to section 2, location and pipe defects, the where and the what. Okay, so the very first thing you need to identify on your report is the location. Because, well, a defect doesn't really mean much if you don't know where it is under your property. You want to look for a clear start location and a stated distance scale. Usually, you'll see this listed as the distance from cleanout, which is just the access point the plumber used. The report absolutely must state the exact footage where the problem is located. If it's not super obvious, you need to ask your plumber to point to the exact timestamp or frame in the video where the issue actually begins and ends. Never, ever accept a vague somewhere in the line type of answer. Once you know where it is, you've got to know what it is. First up on the list, root intrusion. Tree roots are basically nature's ultimate leak detectors. If there is even a microscopic gap in your sewer line, roots are going to find it, they're going to enter it, and they will expand, creating massive blockages over time. Now, contrasting with organic root growth, we have structural issues. Take a broken joint, for example. Sewer lines are made of individual pipe segments connected together, right? Well, a broken joint is what happens when those segments misalign and just no longer meet properly. On the camera footage, it usually looks like a jagged step or a weird dark gap. And these broken joints are actually the most typical entry points for water infiltration and, yep, you guessed it, those tree roots we literally just talked about. Another really critical structural vulnerability is the offset. So an offset is a deformation in the pipe, and it's often caused by aging materials, repeated stress, or even just shifting soil surrounding the line. What's so dangerous here is that it creates turbulence in the water flow. It acts kind of like a speed bump inside your pipe, creating this new gap where debris inevitably accumulates over time. This can turn a really small structural shift into a massive, incredibly stubborn blockage. So when you're looking at these slightly terrifying images of roots and cracks, you need to anchor yourself with this one key question. Ask your plumber, is the defect you're showing me cosmetic and early stage, or is it actively causing restricted flow or structural failure? A thin surface crack might just be cosmetic wear and tear that needs zero immediate action, whereas a major offset definitely requires intervention. This question forces the professional to prioritize the defects for you instead of treating everything like a 5-alarm fire.
Which brings us to section 3. Severity and flow restrictions. Let's look at the grades.
You'll notice many companies use a severity rating system to grade the urgency of a repair. A minor grade usually means the defect is cosmetic, early stage, or just, minor scaling. You probably don't need to dig up your entire yard for a minor grade. Then, a moderate grade means there's a reduced internal diameter. Basically, the pipe is getting narrower due to buildup. But a severe grade, that is your red alert. It means active flow restriction, backups, or impending structural failure. If your report doesn't actually define these grades, make sure to request them. You need to know exactly how their scoring system connects to the urgency of the actual repair. Because visual damage on a screen isn't always enough to justify a massive repair bill, right?
Numbers confirm the practical impact. We absolutely must look for quantitative proof. Your report should include actual measurements of the pipe's internal diameter. Look for notes on standing water or sagging in the line, which are essentially just low spots that trap debris. Even something as simple as noting exactly how far the camera could successfully travel before getting stuck, that provides a crucial number indicating the true severity of the obstruction. And here is the exact script you should use to challenge or confirm those severity scores with your plumber. I'd highly recommend memorizing this one. Does this defect reduce flow or contribute to backups? And exactly how much of the line is affected? Asking this directly ensures you aren't paying to replace, say, a 50-foot pipe when only a 2-foot section is the thing actually causing the backup.
All right, last up, Section 4, translating clues into action. The verdict.
So the really crucial point here is understanding the difference between two main scenarios. If the report primarily shows heavy deposits, grease, or scale, but the underlying pipe is structurally sound, your plumber should probably be recommending a targeted cleaning first. However, if that camera reveals multiple fractures, broken joints, significant offsets, or really extensive root intrusion that has actually broken the pipe wall, well, simple cleaning just won't cut it. In those structural failure scenarios, actual repairs are absolutely necessary to prevent the exact same problem from happening again next month.
Let's look at the common outcomes you'll usually see at the bottom of your report. Sewer cleaning, which is often called jetting, basically blasts away blockages. Spot repairs fix just one specific broken joint or offset. Pipelining is a really fascinating process where they essentially cure a brand new pipe inside the old one, fixing widespread cracks without having to dig up your yard. Then there's full replacement, which is obviously the most intensive option. And finally, monitoring, which basically means doing nothing right now, but checking again next year. The correct option from this list relies entirely on the evidence. Is it a removable blockage or a permanent structural vulnerability?
To wrap all of this up, here is your ultimate empowering takeaway checklist. Definitely keep this handy. Ask your plumber, show me the exact start location and distance of the defect. Ask, is this restricting flow or is it structural damage? Ask, how does the severity rating you assigned directly connect to the repair you're recommending? And finally, based on all your findings, what is the primary problem here? Getting clear answers to these questions absolutely verifies that your repair plan perfectly matches the actual problem inside your pipe.
I really want to leave you with this final thought. When you watch that video alongside the written report, you aren't just looking at random damage. You are actively verifying the location, the extent, and the cause. So I have to ask you, is your next camera inspection going to be a generic assessment that you just blindly accept? Or are you going to use what you learned today to turn it into a transparent, decision-ready document? Demand clear answers, use your new decoder ring, and take back control of your plumbing decisions. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.